Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Connecticut at your service. We come to you live each Tuesday at 6:30, live via Soundview Community Media TV. And we feature individuals that are making a difference in their community and are serving our community through their business, their volunteerism, all with a purpose. And today, I can't even tell you how excited I am to have my next guest on today. I've known you for maybe 10 years, Charlie, and I have to tell you, I have never been in more awe of you than I am right now. Charlie, I want to welcome you to the show. I'm going to introduce you, but first I want to share with you just what you're a celebrity in so many ways, not only in the work that you do, the fact that you're like a TV celebrity, right? We're going to talk about that. But the individual things that you do in the community, for the community, and by the community. So I can't even tell you. You have law enforcement. You started off as a motorcycle cop in the 1980s, so we won't say how old you are. But tell me a little bit about you, kind of what motivates you to do that, the things that you do, and we're going to get right into the work in a little bit.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. This is awesome, and you're fantastic. And I'm trying to figure out a way that I can take those glasses with me when I leave, because I think they would look hot. The idea is, me, Charlie Grady. I am the product of. My father was law enforcement. My mother was the hostess with the mostest. So I always say very clearly that I got the best sides of both of my parents. I've got that zest for life from my mother and her side of the family, the Stuckeys. Shout out to the Stuckeys. I got a lot of sense of responsibility and core values for moving ahead and doing for other people. Both of my parents were public servants their whole life. My mother was in nursing. She worked with the elderly. She was a school teacher, a counselor at school. And my father was a police officer since I was born. So I got it honest, as a lot of people would say. I didn't want to become a police officer, but I grew up with 5 uncles who were cops, and my father was a cop, and he was moving up through the ranks in the 60s and 70s. And I watched, and I became enthralled with the idea that these men, my uncles, my father, were really champions for the community. They helped people. So I got a sense of pride in knowing that people respected my father for the work that he did to help other people. I didn't really know the depth and the brevity of some of the more in-depth criminal stuff that was going on behind the scenes. But what I saw was black men, strong black men, father figures out in the community helping. And so as much as I said I didn't want to become a cop, I said I was going to be a white collar, I was going to be, you name it, I was going to be something other than a police officer, because I'm going to break that cycle. I'm going to be different. And I did. I went to school to become an electrician. And
Okay.
Can you imagine me, electrician, coming to your house?
I would explain the energy.
Yeah. So I went to school to be an electrician, went to University of New Haven for a short time, and then my buddy dared me to become a police officer because he thought I would be a great cop. And the truth of the matter was, I actually understood law enforcement better than a lot of rookie police officers coming out of the academy, because I grew up listening to the calls. So if someone said this was 2612 at 1333 Edgewood Avenue in New Haven, I knew exactly that was an emotionally disturbed person and the police officers need to send to.
Growing up, just from being around your dad.
Just from being around.
Let's put up a picture while we're still talking, because you have to see how far back you go. So this is you, and hold on, so you were in a band too. So Listen, what are we looking at here real quick?
So what you see there is you see me as a motorcycle cop. In 1983, I became a police officer on a motorcycle. And back then, at the Hamden Police Department where I was, and I didn't want to go to New Haven PD because I didn't want it to be said that everything I got because of my father. But I went to Hamden Police Department, and at the time there was only 3 black cops on the department, and they had never had a black motorcycle cop, so I chose to be that first. There's a lot of things that I chose to do first in my career.
And you're a creator too.
Yeah, and so Back then they used to call me Chocolate Chips because that TV show was very popular.
I love it. See, you done not messed up when you told me that.
Yeah. And then the other pictures, you got me playing the drums. I was a self-taught drummer, professional drummer for many, many years. Played with a lot of the greatest artists from Connecticut and around the country. Steve Scales, Ronnie Lawrence, God rest his soul, just passed away. Najee, Marion Meadows. I played with everyone from J-Ro, you name it, a jazz artist from around the world, Nelson Rangel. I taught myself how to play the drums in the basement long before I even thought about being a cop. I went from my basement. My first gig at 18 years old was at a bar, and I played with some of the top musicians from Yale all over the country. And then the other photo is just me when I tried my hand at being a rapper. Come on now, so listen, in the 80s, everybody was trying to be a rapper, I was like that B-sharp G, from the B to the G, kicking the peace, love, and unity. I rock rhymes about the truth and all the love you see.
He's really like that in real life.
So yeah, those are those pictures there, and they bring back great memories for me.
So it explains a lot, knowing kind of your history, because I've known you forever. We're going to show a video in just a second that I happen to find in the archives of Who's Charlie Grady, right? So it really does explain a lot about how you're the front-facing person to the community. Because I don't know if anybody's told you or if you feel that, but you are very, very, very respected in this community. You show up, you show out, and you do what you say you're going to do. So it doesn't surprise me. I didn't know, but it doesn't surprise me. I knew that you've created some shows and things like that, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I want to give the folks a little taste.
Oh, come on now.
Of the Charlie Grady celebrity that we know here in our community. Let's roll that video.
Occupants of the vehicle, you're completely surrounded. Turn your back to me now. Back up very slowly to the sound of my voice. Turn around. So I realize you're hurt. I only got one ambulance here. I'm gonna try to get you some help.
I still think this little shit's calling our bluff.
I can't take the risk that he is. Is everything all set at the airport?
We got 2 units waiting. Take them out at 401 at McCormick.
Okay, occupants. We've secured our end of the deal. Do not hurt any of the hostages. You're gonna get an escort to the airport, but you first have to let the hostages go. Officer Yarborough, Hartford PD.
You look familiar.
I was the hostage negotiator the day Kendall Sharif was killed. I saw everything that happened. My hand's been tied up until now, but I'm here today. I brought you something.
So what's that?
Let's just say it's a little gift from Prosecutor Andrews.
How are you, my man?
I'm doing great. How's everything with you?
I'm good. I'm just picking up a few things for that dinner Thursday night.
That dinner?
Gotta look good for the new guys, right?
The dinner with the team from
Yeah,
Dallas.
that's right. Hey, this is my son, Kevin. Kevin, can you say hi to Alvin?
How you doing, buddy?
Alvin and I work together.
Yeah. Listen, is your daddy buying you everything you want in this mall today?
Oh, come on.
He can, I'm telling you. He's got the money.
Don't go there, please.
Tell me about
Have you seen the numbers for this?
No, not yet. My team's been in the data room all week. Unfortunately, I haven't had time to look at the report outs, but I'll get to it as soon as I get a chance. I'm assuming you're Terry Succi.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. We welcome you to the neighborhood with this arrest warrant. You're both under arrest. Cuff him.
Hands behind your back.
I didn't find anything, Miss Belmont.
What do you mean?
Well, they committed these acts brazenly. And once I learned of the fraudulent marriage, everything else was there in plain sight.
Thank you, Detective.
She was a confidential informant.
Oh, a confidential informant just approached you in a bar and told you about the nasty gossip in the neighborhood.
Yes. It happens like that sometime.
And were you wearing a sign around your neck that said, "Police detective here," just in case somebody wanted to drop some dime?
No, not quite. I was just out having a drink at the bar. Police officers do socialize too.
Mr. Berlin, you're under arrest, charged with 10 counts of felony murder. You have the right to remain silent.
Hold Rodriguez at the last second. Any reason why?
We don't know why. But I tell you, there's an awful lot of animosity between he and Zane Carroll, the prosecutor.
Charity! It's for charity! All right, well then let's get to it.
No. Step back a little bit. Step back. Put your foot up. Put your foot masculine. Yes, there you go.
Look down at me. Look down at me.
Empty your damn pockets, kid.
I'm not stupid. I knew I was supposed to run.
Freeze!
Hey, what the is this?
FBI.
Congratulations, Charlie Grady from Boston, Massachusetts. You just won $25,000. For more, go to necessaryroughness.com.
I tell you what, this one is OVA over.
Wow. I hope people in Bridgeport noticed that was the arcade mall.
That's right.
I mean, and people, let me tell you, I'm just so impressed that you really took the real life law enforcement that you do and applied that to a career. Listen, I had to print it to make sure I didn't miss anything out. You have been on Guiding Light, All My Children, Law and Order, for those that didn't guess what show that was. You also were in Breaking Point, Waltzing Anna, Mystic River, Inside Game, and on and on and on and on. You know, and part of that, you've used that celebrity status to kind of create. And I'm wondering, what are some lessons that you've learned in that you've applied into your new role? Because you are the community outreach and public affairs officer for the FBI.
Yeah.
So you ain't getting out of law enforcement, it looks like. This is like a lifelong.
No, I'm going. I've been putting in 2 lifetimes in it. But to your point, it's funny because you and I were speaking earlier about what I'm blessed, right? I know how fortunate I am. I tell people all the time, I've had the best career of anybody I know because I've been able to stretch out and do different things. No matter how many times people try to put a label on you, put you in a box, I think sometimes people are confused by me because they want to say, oh, he's that cop, or oh, he's that FBI guy, or people don't like it when you do too many things because it confuses where they come from. For me, the exposure and the experience in my life has led me to a point where I get to use and leverage all of my experience, both in real life as well as on stage, as on television. So the answer for me is, you said it earlier, whatever I do, I have to show up and show out because I never want to lose touch with the reality of, listen, to me, stardom and fame, I never pursued that full time. And people go, why didn't you? Because I got a lot of attention early on in the film and television world, especially Guiding Light. I did music videos with Nas. I did music videos with Surface. I did music videos, and I was featured with Freddie Jackson and all these different artists. But I didn't pursue it because it wasn't my passion. My passion, believe it or not, and again, it goes back to being born and raised in a servant household, my passion is trying to help those people move forward in their lives and get where they need to be. And I found that gift. You know, I have that purpose. I live in my purpose every day. All these other things that I do are just for fun. My real purpose is to help someone who's coming home reset their life. And I mean that sincerely because I never want to lose touch with the fact that the only difference between me and that person is the decision I made at 18 and 19, 20, 25. We're still not fully developed. So I could have made that same bad decision. We're all just one drink away from a DUI that could ruin your whole life, right? I know one of the women's part of one of our programs, she accidentally killed her best friend in a car accident. One drink too many, changed her entire life. Right? So I never lose sight of the only difference between me, even when I was a cop in uniform, is that I was wearing a matching shirt and pants with a badge. Didn't make me superior to anyone. What it made me was to be more empathetic because I recognize that the only way we can actually move forward as a community is that if I'm a part of the community. So I've been prompted to go into politics at very high levels. I mean, the highest levels. I've had Republican, Democrat leaders say, we'll get you, and I've denied. I've denied it because I don't want to be that far removed from the boots on the ground, impactful work that I do with the team. I have an incredible team that works with me in Hartford, New Haven, Waterbury, Bridgeport.
Absolutely.
And we're changing lives. Quiet as is kept. We're not out there beating our chests.
People that know you.
Yeah.
And you are an opportunity creator.
Yes.
I mean, there's a bunch of us that do that, and we do that in different ways, and individuals that are just as impacted. I want to show up the next picture because you shook hands with a former president.
Oh, yeah.
You know, people have to understand. So, Charlie, you say that you're very understated, but you're very highly accredited.
Yeah.
You have like 75 different awards accredited to your work in law enforcement. So I want to get through this. If you can tell me really quickly what we're watching, and I want to get into the work that you're doing with Hang Time, Her Time, and how that kind of came about. So tell me a little bit about what we're seeing here.
The funny part about this photo with the beloved Barack Obama is that I met him based on some of the work I was doing while working at the U.S. Attorney's Office. So people don't even realize I was a cop, then I went to work in private industry. I did that for 6 years, traveled all over the country doing investigations for a corporate company, got called back to public service by the U.S. Attorney's Office, did that for 6 years, ran a bunch of programs for the U.S. Attorney's Office. And during that time when I was at the U.S. Attorney's Office, I got awarded a high recognition from President Obama. And I met him in New London at the Naval Academy. And in that photo, he's actually handing me the presidential coin. So I want you to keep in mind, I never thought I would live to see a black president, like the song says. Not only did I live to see a black president, but I met him twice, and he gave me his personal Barack Obama presidential coin, which there's not very many of those in the world. So I really hold that in high esteem. And the other photos there were just me with Danny Glover when he was here in Bridgeport. I do a lot in the way with local media. Ms. Hutchinson is a really, really incredible woman who does the news here in Connecticut, lives in Connecticut, born and raised. So whenever we have good things going on, I try to bring it to all local news stations. And then the other photo is myself and Lieutenant Susan Bysowitz, who's been a champion for the work that we've been doing at Hang Time and Her Time and the Hall of Change.
Well, we are a live show. Hello, caller, and welcome to Connecticut at your service. You have a question for our guest, Charlie.
Yes. I just, want to know, early in your career, did you pursue education in college? Like, what did you want to be besides going into the police academy?
Yeah. So, good question. Early on, I really didn't have a plan, and I urge young students today to not feel pressured, because as adults, we ask students all the time, what do you want to be when you grow up? And quite honestly, a lot of students don't know exactly what they want to be.
I still don't know. I'm still trying to figure
me
it
too,
out.
and I'm not growing up yet. But the reality is I didn't have a definitive plan. As I said earlier, I was a musician. I wanted to try acting. I wanted to go into electronics. There was a bunch of things that I wanted to do. I went to school for all of those things. But the one thing that I'll say is that I had loving parents, and my mother was the one who was my champion. My parents never told me what I can't do. They always told me that if you pursue it and you put your heart into it, you can achieve it, right? Now, I know there's limitations to that. I'm only, 5'11", 6 feet. I knew I wasn't going to be the center for the Knicks, but I could own the Knicks one day, is what my mother would say. So I had that level of inspiration. So yes, I pursued education in all aspects. I actually would get on the train in New Haven and go to Manhattan to take acting classes when I decided that's what I wanted to do. I never took music lessons, drum lessons. I was self-taught. I had independent syncopation skills that just came naturally. But University of New Haven, I've been continuing on with education as much as I can. I've taught at the FBI. I've taught at the Connecticut State Police Academy. So yeah, education is key. And I tell people all the time, there's no perfect educational path to get to where you want to be. The key is you have to get good grades at whatever you do, because when you go for your interview, what they're looking at is how well you did with your education.
And keep moving.
And you got to keep it going.
Keep moving forward, you know?
I mean, I learned something a long time ago from a then highly respected Bill Cosby, and I said the then. He said, life is like being a shark. In order to survive, you have to keep moving. You know why a shark keeps moving forward? Because their gills, they get oxygen through their gills as they move forward. And the best way to kill a shark is to grab it by its tail and pull it backwards. It drowns. So the failure to be able to move forward kills your dreams and could put an end to a long-lasting career. So I've always held that in my heart when I heard him say that. So to answer your question, education is crucial. I pursued every aspect of education of the things that I was interested in. I was interested in film and television. I went to school. I did that. And so law enforcement, same thing. Went to the police academy, pursued all of those classes, everything from forensics with Dr. Henry Lee here in Connecticut. You don't have to have one specific path to be successful in this world.
Just keep moving.
You
Sometimes opportunities.
Right.
Thank you so much, caller, for calling in.
No problem. Have a great night, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
So I just want to make sure that I don't lose sight of the work that you're doing. So you've done a lot of things in law enforcement, and I celebrate that. You know, you were part of an anti-gun violence program that actually allowed you to create kind of like a support system and I'll tell the story first of how I remember talking to you, because we've met, it has to be like more than 10 years ago, doing this work of helping people that are re-entry get employment, get resources. And when you go to a kind of, for lack of a better word, like a support group, but this support group that you had started had individuals that are in recovery, re-entry. You had people that loved them and supported them, that were trying to create ways to help them that when they were returning citizens. And you brought together the community service providers. And I remember saying, what do you call it? He goes, the group is just called Hang Time. We're just gonna, so tell me how you came up with that name. And we just have a little bit, and I just wanna make sure we get to that, because there's so much more to this man, I can't even tell you. So you're gonna have to follow him more if we don't get through everything. But tell me a little bit about that.
I'll tell you this, and I'm glad you mentioned 10 years ago that when this movement started, because you were a big part of that movement. And I always say, nobody gets this kind of work done by themselves. I can't do it without Carmen. You can't do it without
agencies that I represented,
Right. And so, but you personally, don't minimize. Carmen Nieves is a beast. She is the hurricane. And so what happens is a lot of people set out to do work in those arenas, helping, but they're there for a job. They're there for a paycheck. And luckily for me, and this is why I say I'm blessed, I never relied on that work for a income to pay my bills. So it was always and has been from the heart. So to your point, I was working on this project where we were really, really working to build community trust in law enforcement and help individuals actually move forward in their life when they come home from incarceration. That's the mission. Unfortunately, it gets muddied and watered down because when individuals come home and they're not getting a job, the door's shutting in their face, they're losing opportunities and they're losing faith. They're losing faith in the system. So all I wanted to do was create a place of positive environment, because a lot of them didn't have anything positive, because the streets are calling. So you don't get a job, come over here, let me hit you with this package, you'll make a little money, we'll put you back on. And when you get desperate, a lot of times that's where you go. So I try to create a space, a safe space, a neutral space for people from former rival neighborhoods, South End, East End, North End, none of that matters. You come to a safe space, we hang out, we fellowship, we have food. It started out with 8 individuals in 2014. 8 individuals sitting around, and one of those individuals is now a sitting state judge, Michael Gustafson. And we just chopped it up. And people are so indoctrinated by the system, they weren't used to having that level of freedom because they've been incarcerated. They're told when to talk, when to sit. We gave them freedom. Be who you are going to be. Come in here. The only rule is you have to be respectful of the process and of this space. We don't care how crazy you are and what you say. You have to listen to someone else when they speak. So that was the process, and people respected it and loved it and wanted to be a part. No one is ever mandated to come to Hang Time. Hang Time.
Let me answer this call, but while we're answering this call, I want to put up the picture because I definitely want to make sure we talk about the Great 8.
Yes.
Hello, caller, and welcome to Connecticut at your service. You have a question for Charlie? Hello? Okay, maybe we lost him because I kept running my mouth. So I don't want to minimize that as we talk. I want that picture to stay up there because, here we go. Don't let me lose that, and we're running out of time. But hello and welcome to Connecticut at your service. You have a question for Charlie?
Yes, I do.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
I am fine, thank you. My question for Mr. Grady is, we met a few years ago at Hang Time and Her Time, and I just heard him mention how a lot of the incarcerated folks come home and get a door slammed in their face. Well, now on the application they cannot ask you on an application, if you're filling out a job for an application, have you ever been incarcerated? How huge is that when it comes to all of your people filling out questions?
So I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. HR, Human Resources, determines how huge that is. So if they actually honor the ban the box, is what you're referring to. If they actually honor that the way it's designed, then it's very impactful. But there are still a lot of employers who will look at an individual's resume and they recognize if you don't have a work history for 6 years, 8 years, and you put down Corrigan as your address, they recognize that. So they don't need a box. They can look at that and say, this person might most likely was incarcerated, so we're not interested. So that's where it's sort of like a misnomer. So ban the box is fantastic for those human resource employers that are willing to actually honor it as it's designed to be. But there's always a get around for employers. There's always a way, if I don't want to engage in someone and give someone a second chance, then I can literally look at the resume and go, you know what? They were washing dishes at a facility. Let's look at the address of this facility. Oh, it's a Connecticut State Correctional Facility. Okay, next. I've seen it happen. So
there's a lot of work to do there.
There's a lot.
Education.
Right.
Education is really helping the employers understand that there's resources. If they give somebody a chance, that there's opportunity, that they're going to get somebody that's going to have, support systems in place. We're running out of time, caller. I want to thank you for calling. And please keep watching, keep supporting, and then let's figure out how we could work together to make a difference in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to make sure that I'm giving honor, and we just have like a few more minutes. So I heard that your hang time is actually going on right now.
That's right.
And that they're watching live. So for one, I want to give them some love. Tell them I appreciate them. Make sure that we're giving them some love.
It's the fam.
And everything started about giving support. So Charlie, we have like 1 minute. Tell me about the Great Eight.
So the Connecticut Hall of Change, we're the first in the country to create a program. I had a concept. I got tired of seeing on the news people being labeled as career criminals when I recognized that this person is someone's mother, brother, sister, son, whatever the case may be. I wanted to help change that stigma of a felon. And I thought the best way to do that was redefine people who have come home and done great things in their community and great things to improve the quality of life in the community. So we then, each year, we have 8 people that are inducted into an actual state museum called the Hall of Change. And we just celebrated our 3rd year. And on the 27th, next Wednesday, we have an event coming up, a fundraiser, and a comedy night starring Ali Siddiqui, who's going to help. He's formerly incarcerated himself. And so I know it's so much. It's
so much. Listen, I'm going to have him back because we are so not done with this conversation. But I want to make sure that, Charlie, I thank you for all that you do and all that you bring and all the ways that you show out and open up doors. I want to thank the cast, the crew, everybody who's helping, all of you out there in the community that watch us each week. Follow us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, and if you think you know somebody in the community that makes a difference, let us know, and we'll see you next week.
Occupants of the vehicle, you're completely surrounded. Turn your back to me now. Back up very slowly to the sound of my voice. Hey, turn around.
So I realize you're hurt. I only got 1 ambulance here. I'm gonna try to get you some help.
I still think this little shit's calling our bluff.
I can't take the risk that he is. Is everything all set at the airport?
We got 2 units waiting. Take them out at 401 at the Quamic.
Okay, occupants. We secured our end of the deal. Do not hurt any of the hostages. You're gonna get an escort to the airport, but you first have to let the hostages go.
Officer Yarborough, Hartford PD.
You look familiar.
I was the hostage negotiator the day Kendall Sharif was killed. I saw everything that happened. You know, my hands been tied up until now, but I'm here today. I brought you something.
So what's that?
Let's just say it's a little gift from Prosecutor Andrews. What's
How are
going
you,
on?
my man?
I'm doing great. How's everything with you?
I'm good. I'm just picking up a few things for that dinner Thursday night.
That dinner.
Gonna look good for the new guys, right?
Oh, the dinner with the team from
Yeah,
Dallas.
that's right. Hey, this is my son, Kevin.
Hey,
Kevin, can
Kev.
you say hi to Alvin?
How you doing, buddy?
Alvin and I work together.
Yeah. Listen, is your daddy buying you everything you want in this mall today?
Come on.
He can, I'm telling you. He's got the money.